If you have ever opened your iPhone storage settings and seen a massive chunk of space labeled system data sitting there, consuming gigabytes of your storage, you are not alone. This is one of the most common complaints from iPhone users across every iOS version, and it has followed people all the way into iOS 26. You did not download system data. You did not create it intentionally. It just grew quietly in the background until one day you went to take a photo or download an app, and your phone told you storage was full. And when you investigated, system data was the culprit sitting there taking up 10, 15, 20 gigabytes or more of your available space. The frustrating part is that Apple does not give you a delete button for system data. There is no option in your settings that says clear system data and lets you reclaim that space with a single tap. So most people either ignore it, buy more iCloud storage thinking that will help, or start deleting photos and apps they actually want to keep. None of those are the right answer. Here's everything you need to know about what system data actually is, why it grows, and every legitimate method available to reduce it and reclaim your storage for free. First, let us establish what system data actually contains, because understanding what you are dealing with makes the solutions make more sense. System data is a catch-all category that iOS uses to store several different types of files that do not fit neatly into the other storage categories like apps, photos, or media. The main components inside system data include eSafari's cache and website data, which accumulates every time you browse the web, and can grow to several gigabytes on its own if you are a heavy browser. It includes Siri's offline voice data and personalization files. It includes system logs and diagnostic files that iOS generates automatically to track performance and errors. It includes temporary files created by the operating system during updates and routine processes. It includes cached streaming data from music and video apps. It includes mail caches if you use Apple Mail, and it includes various other temporary and cached files that iOS has not yet cleaned up automatically. The key word across almost all of these categories is cached. Most of what lives inside system data is not essential permanent data. It is temporary data that the system created for performance reasons and then held on to longer than necessary, which means it can be cleared. It just requires knowing the right methods to trigger that clearing. Here is the first and most effective method, and it costs nothing. Go to Settings, then Safari, then scroll down and tap Clear History and Website Data. Confirm the action when prompted. Safa. RI's cache and website data is one of the largest contributors to system data bloat for most iPhone users, and clearing it can reclaim anywhere from a few hundred megabytes to several gigabytes, depending on how long it has been since you last cleared it and how heavily you use Safari for browsing. Your browsing history will be cleared, and you will need to log back into websites you were previously signed into automatically, but your bookmarks and saved passwords and iCloud keychain are not affected. After clearing Safari data, go back to Settings and tap on your name at the top to access your Apple ID settings. Tap iCloud, then tap Show All next to the apps using iCloud. Find Safari in the list and toggle it off. Wait about 30 seconds, then toggle it back on. This forces a resync of your Safari data with iCloud and can clear residual cache data that the standard clear history process leaves behind. The second method targets mail cache, which is another significant contributor to system data for people who use Apple Mail. Go to Settings and scroll down to Mail. Tap on Mail, then tap Accounts. Go through each email account you have configured and TAP on the account, then tap your email address to see the account settings. There is not a direct cache clear button here, but what you can do is remove the account entirely and e-add it. This sounds more disruptive than it is. Your emails live on your email provider's servers, not on your phone. Removing the account from your iPhone removes the local cache of those emails and all the associated data Mail has stored locally. When you re-AD the account, Mail downloads a fresh copy of your recent emails without the accumulated cache bloat. For people with large mail caches, this method can reclaim multiple gigabytes. The third method is one that many people overlook because it requires a bit of patience, but it is consistently effective, and it works by leveraging iOS's own internal storage management system. Find a large app or a few large apps in the App Store that you do not need to keep permanently. A large game works perfectly for this. The app needs to be large enough that your iPhone cannot download it without first clearing some cached and temporary data to make room. Attempt to download the app. If your storage is critically low, iOS will begin automatically clearing cached system data files to make room for the download. Once the download completes or your storage situation improves, delete the large app you just downloaded. This method essentially tricks iOS into running its own internal cleanup process on demand rather than waiting for it to happen automatically. The fourth method is one of the most powerful available, and it involves offloading and reinstalling your apps. iOS has a feature called Offload App that removes the app itself from your phone while preserving its documents and data. When you reinstall the offloaded app, it comes back. without any of the cached temporary data that had accumulated inside it over time. For apps you use heavily, social media apps, streaming apps, navigation apps, the cached data inside the app itself can be substantial, and while some of this shows up under the app's own storage category rather than system data, the distinction between app cache and system data is not always clean, and offloading heavy apps often produces reductions in the system data figure as well. To offload an app, go to Settings, then General, then iPhone Storage. Scroll through your app list and tap on any app you want to offload. You will see the option to offload app. Tap it, confirm, and the app is removed while its data is preserved. You can then reinstall it from the App Store. Go through your heavy use apps one by one and do this process. Combined across several apps, the storage reclaimed can be significant. While you are in the iPhone storage settings, scroll to the very top of the page and look at the recommendations section if it is visible. iOS will sometimes surface specific recommendations for reclaiming storage, including options to automatically offload unused apps or clear specific types of data. Follow any recommendations shown here as they are tailored to your specific storage situation. The fifth method involves resetting your network settings, which clears a category of system data related to network configurations, VPN data, and connectivity caches that accumulates over time. Go to Settings, then General, then Transfer or Reset iPhone, then Reset Network Settings. This will require your iPhone to restart and will clear your saved Wi-Fi passwords, so have those ready to re-enter. It will not affect your photos, apps, contacts, or any personal data. Network Settings Reset is particularly effective for people who have used VPN apps, have connected to many different Wi-Fi networks over time, or have been using their iPhone for several years without ever resetting network settings. The storage reclaimed by this method is typically modest compared to the Safari and Mailcache methods, but it contributes to the overall cleanup. The sixth method is the most thorough of all and produces the most dramatic system data reduction available. It involves backing up your iPhone and restoring it as a new device or from a clean backup. Connect your iPhone to a computer with iTunes on Windows or Finder on Mac. Back up your iPhone to the computer rather than to iCloud, and make sure to encrypt the backup so it captures your passwords and health data. Once the backup is complete, choose the option to restore your iPhone. When the restore process completes and your iPhone restarts, you will be given the option to restore from your backup or set up as a new iPhone. If you restore from your backup, your system data will return to a reduced state compared to what it was before, but will not be completely minimal. If you set up as a new iPhone and then manually reinstall your apps and restore only specific data you need, your system data will start essentially from zero. This is the nuclear option, and most people find the backup restore sufficient without going all the way to a new device setup. For iOS 26 specifically, Apple introduced some changes to how system data is categorized and managed that are worth knowing about. iOS 26 separates some data that was previously lumped into system data into more specific subcategories that are now visible in the storage breakdown. This means that after updating to iOS 26, you may actually see your system data number change, sometimes appearing to increase, not because more data was created, but because data previously hidden inside other categories is now being accurately attributed to system data. If your system data appeared to jump after updating to iOS 26, this reclassification is likely part of the explanation. iOS 26 also gives Siri's on-device processing models more storage space than previous versions, as the expanded on-device AI features require larger local model files. Some of this will show up in system data and cannot be deleted without disabling Siri features. If you go to Settings, then Siri, you can turn off specific Siri features you do not use, which will prompt iOS to remove the associated model files and reclaim that storage over time. iOS 26 also includes an enhanced version of the automatic storage management system that Apple introduced in earlier iOS versions. To make sure the system is actively working to manage your system data automatically, go to Settings, then General, then iPhone Storage, and look for the Enable option next to optimize iPhone storage if it is not already active. With this enabled, iOS will more aggressively clear temporary files and cached data when your storage runs low rather than waiting until you are completely out of space. There are a few things worth knowing about what you cannot delete from system data, so your expectations are calibrated correctly. iOS itself takes up storage that is counted within or adjacent to system data. The operating system files, security databases, and core system processes require a baseline amount of storage that cannot be reduced. On recent iPhone models running iOS 26, this baseline is typically between 5 and 8 gigabytes. If your system data is close to this range, after going through all the cleanup methods described above, you have effectively cleared everything that can be cleared, and what remains is the irreducible system footprint. Siri voice data and on-device intelligence models also have a minimum footprint that cannot be fully eliminated as long as Siri and on-device features are enabled. You can reduce this by disabling specific features, but you cannot bring it to zero without disabling Siri entirely. System logs and diagnostic data are generated continuously by iOS as a normal part of system operation. You can clear them temporarily, and iOS will clear them automatically over time, but they will regenerate. They are typically not large individually, and iOS manages their size automatically, so they should not be a major ongoing concern after the initial cleanup. Here is a practical approach that combines all of these methods into a sequence that produces the best results. Start by clearing Safari history and website data. Then offload your heaviest apps and reinstall them. Then remove and re-add your email accounts. Then reset your network settings. Then use the large app download trick to trigger iOS's internal cleanup. Then go through the iPhone storage recommendations and act on anything iOS suggests. Give your phone 24 hours after all of this, because iOS sometimes takes time to fully register the freed storage and update the numbers shown in settings. After following this sequence, most people find their system data drops by anywhere from 3 to 10 gigabytes, depending on how long it had been accumulating and which categories were most bloated. The results vary because every iPhone is used differently and system data composition reflects your specific usage patterns. Your storage is yours. The methods are free. The tools are already built into your iPhone waiting to be used.